So news comes to me that there is this TV show. What are these lights? Look, see the spotlight? Boom, overlit, underlit, underlit. Oh, underlit is not that bad either. The Tiger King. And since maybe some of you know, I shot a documentary with Vivienne Westwood. And so it's a documentary, right? It's not out yet, but it will be. Long time coming, but these things take time. So I'm interested in whatever other documentaries are out there, and especially when they're garnering so much attention. So The Tiger King, I watched it. I went through all the episodes. There's 7 episodes, and then I think yesterday or 2 days ago they uploaded an 8th episode, which is like an interview with the characters, like posthumously, like after the show came out, because it's such a huge success. And so I watched and I thought to myself, why is this such a huge success? Well, first of all, I think they were lucky that they released it during the pandemic. And I know we're all on lockdown and we all have many different options and outlets. We could watch so many different shows and movies. But why is that one so particularly spot on? My personal analysis is this. We have many documentaries that showcase how terrible America is when it comes to exploitation of anything. In this case, it's animals, wild cats, tigers, lions, all sorts of felines. And not just that, but also other animals. And then how, so basically the gist of the story is we got these 3 major players somewhere in Florida or somewhere there that have their own zoos or camps or shelters to protect these animals. Which, by the way, turns out more of these tigers are in the States than they are in their natural habitat in Asia or around the world. Shocking. Anyway, so they start fighting because each and every one of them, of these 3 factions, wants to dominate over the other. So there's this war, there's this very telenovela type of hate between them and how they try to legally, and you know how the legal system works in America, it all depends on how much money you blow into something, into the lawyers and into the legal system. And it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about who has more money. And then death is involved as well, and life threats are involved as well. But so we've seen documentaries like these before. We've seen worse documentaries that depict even more in a terrible manner how terrible life can be. And yet this one is so successful. And I think it has to do with the fact, one, that the framework of this show are these wildlife animals, are these tigers, are these exotic animals that just give that framework to something. It makes everything more like, wow, you know? And add to that, because the story itself it's a typical story, you know. Somebody kills somebody and police cannot prove who the culprit is and if the person really killed somebody or not. And then there's a lot of that. And again, also a topic we've seen thousands of times. But why is this so successful? I think, first of all, they shot 5 years long, more or less. And within the documentary, some of the characters are shooting a reality TV show. So we have it's like one of those babushkas, you know, from Russia, like the doll and doll system. So you have the doll, when you open it, inside is a smaller doll. You open it, and inside is a smaller doll. So you have that structure where there's a TV show being shot within a documentary show, shot, and each one of these people are also shooting their own personal perspectives. And so a lot of that trickles down into the final product, and you have all of these perspectives, camera shots, angles, 5 years worth of life of these people and these cats. And add on top of that, third factor, the charisma. Each and every one of them was born to be trash television. Each and every one of them, from the hillbillies, redneck, to the wannabe elegant lady who wants to preserve the cats but in reality profits millions off of these poor animals. They're all terrible. Each and every one of these people ends up being terrible, and you hate all of them. And yet, within their hillbilliness, they have a certain charisma that makes you almost cheer for them. And one of them wanted to run for president, by the way. And that also that paints another story, because, you know, the elections are coming up this year. Also terrible. I think this documentary came at the right time, frameworked in the right way, because had they not had this cat feline framework and no election this year, no pandemic, this documentary would have, nobody would have noticed it. It would have gone, we would have flushed it down the toilet like we do our regular daily, you know what, even without toilet paper. So this is my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Has anybody seen The Tiger King? If so, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, moving on to the next topic. I'm going to move on to the next topic anyway. Anything to stop animal cruelty, I'm in. Yes, you know what? That's the point. Anything to stop animal cruelty. But be careful, Raider Lisa, because this lady that, under the guise of wanting to protect wildlife and preserve it, under that guise, she profits from them. And the phrasing and the wording and how you package the marketing, and here we have this beast, this animal that is the killer of our society, and that is also the biggest abuser of the consumer society, marketing. Marketing is terrible because they're sneaky. They find a way. They know what you want, what you like. They first analyze you. They analyze you to find out what your weaknesses are. And then they exploit those weaknesses to their advantage, to the advantage of their brand. So what happens is, mostly women, by the way, work for this lady for free. They don't work for her. It's you see, she's very clever. She says, no, if you want to help me preserve these cats, you're not going to get paid. It's free labor, and you're just going to help out. But the people who come to visit the animal shelter pay really good money to get to see these animals. And she gets to keep all that. She's a millionaire. Now, how is it possible? Well, if you're such a rich woman, why don't you send these cats back to Africa or back to Asia and let them live in their natural habitat instead of keeping them in your little... It's a prison for them. They're locked in cages anyway, under the guise of her saying, well, she took these cats from those people who profit from them, who keep them in cages and just use them while they're cubs because they can make a lot of money off of these cubs taking pictures with other people. And when these cubs grow and they're big, they're too big to have these pictures taken with other people, then they either kill them or they, give them away or sell them. But she also has cubs. And she, whatever. So I'm also saying everything to help these animals. But how do we help these animals? We can only help these animals if we completely stop, if we make it illegal in the States to purchase them and use them as pets completely. First thing. Second thing, also it should become illegal to profit from them. Even if you have an animal sanctuary, it should be no profit animal sanctuary. The owner of the animal sanctuary should not become a millionaire. That makes no sense. While the animals are still in a sanctuary, but it's actually cages. So these animals should be taken back to their natural habitat and let free. No cages and no letting people pay good dollar to go in and see them. You know what I mean? This is the point. So it's tricky. If they grew up in captivity, they can't survive in the wild. But the wild, this is the thing, you can create a preservation where they are in the wild, but they're not exposed to a situation where, I mean, for felines, the instinct that they have inside of them will re-educate them to go hunting, for sure. For sure. So, but because they are at the top of the food chain, as predators, there's nothing above them. So they don't have threats in nature. They don't have other wild animals attacking them and killing them. They are the biggest predator. So it's quite easy for a tiger or a lion, once they're set free, to not alone, in their herd, in their group, in their family, whatever, 10 of them, they're going to structure themselves. And when they get hungry, they will hunt. Trust you me, whether it be small prey or big prey. And you can help them out in the beginning. So there are ways, there are definitely ways. And one of these ways is not earning millions off of these poor creatures while they're in captivity under the pretense of helping them.